welcome back to Smashing Nets Podcast. This is our recap for part 2 of the finale. My name's Zach, and I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, hey, hey.
She did the peace sign no one saw it. My best friend, Jake.
How's everybody doing tonight? I just saved us. Right.
Well,
this is number 2 on the attempts of trying to record.
Yeah, we had recorded maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, and I have to like turn to face you guys once I start recording, because it's weird if I'm staring straight ahead and you guys are to my back. And Jake and I were watching it. It was recording.
It was.
And then all of a sudden he had a real puzzled look on his face, and then I looked at the computer and it wasn't recording anymore.
I'm no tech guy, so I'm proud of myself.
But you can see wavelengths.
I can.
And there's not any.
There wasn't any, so just imagine, right, if we'd have gotten an hour in, I'd have went home.
We've never
If I could only imagine.
We've never had a lost episode. We had one time we were recording and it was like tornado-y weather and the power went out and we thought we lost it, but we actually only lost about 5 minutes of like an hour-long podcast, so we just had to like tag on the end. We've never actually had to where it all completely went away, unless I'm remembering wrong. I don't think we have.
No, I can't think of anything, Zach.
Yeah.
You've always done a great job with that stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
So,
that's a pretty good track record in 3.5 years.
Well,
Yeah,
one thing that was lost was us talking about you milking it on the corner out of here, to which Hannah said, you ain't got nothing to milk. So,
well, in the words of Tony Allen, you got to milk that horse.
That's right.
That's right.
Giddy up, boys.
So, we did talk about before we realized it wasn't recording. It looks like Jake said he saw on Philo, which is where he watches, that it's going to be a 2-part reunion.
That's right.
Which means it's going to be like the 22nd and the 29th, I believe.
Yeah, we're breaking news over here.
Maybe. So if that's the case and Philo is correct, we are going to just do a 1-part reunion podcast after they both air, because there's no reason to do 2 parts.
Yeah, I ain't talking about this thing for 2 weeks, Zach.
No.
And I don't even want to talk about it once.
We're already going to be doing All-Stars in between there, and so like the reunions are fine as long as, they're actual like entertaining behind the scenes. What I don't like about reunion shows is when it's just like, all right, let's take a look back at this craziness that happened, and it's just stuff we've already seen a bunch. Like, It's just a clips package. Like, at least give us like behind the scenes, like unseen stuff, or perspective on things that we didn't get. I don't want to watch a clip show. But we got to watch through it. It is what it is. But
And I will not be doing fantasy points
for the reunion. Yeah, no. I think
No.
that ends today.
That ends today. It's over.
Yeah. I will say, just look, like, my team's not great, but I did have 3 people in the final and one of the winners. You had 2 people in the final and one of the winners. Hannah had 3 people in the final and 0 of the winners.
That's right.
So I had the best like percentage, but I obviously it's pretty far how far Casey fell in our draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I'll say she's extremely boring, but she was the best female in the final.
I guess.
Yeah.
She was. I mean, she won, and like, she's probably one of the better people to run in these finals. And it's just last season blew her patellar tendon, which is a very like extreme injury.
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, and to come back less than a year later and win the next one. I mean, granted, you do have. I think you can say the greatest of all time player as your partner now. I'm gonna put him CT ahead of Bananas.
I think so. I get that Bananas has 7, right?
He does,
which is still 2 more than CT.
Yeah.
He does.
But you just have to wonder, like, if he didn't have all those personal things he was struggling through, and just it was kind of a head case too, like, man.
And he
think about it, because Bananas like is great at the game, but in a different sense. Like, is there anything that CT is bad at?
That's the thing.
Nothing.
But Bananas is really good politically, and he's great in finals.
Yeah.
But he's not like a big elimination threat,
Nope.
and he's not a
physical threat.
Yeah, Dailies are kind of he's better than like Nelson, but Bananas is really good at this game. But he also had his run of wins were pretty close together for a lot of them. Now 35 was the most recent one, going out on number 7. But I'll say that CT in that same era where Johnny won a lot did not do basically every season like Johnny did.
Yeah.
Johnny was doing, like, this was his, like, full-time job almost, which is kind of what CT's doing now, to where he was going one after another, after another, after another, and now the CT's doing that. We've seen he's won 3 out of the last 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That says a lot.
Yeah. The only one he didn't win was the one Bananas won.
And then he's won like 4 out of the last 6 or something, right?
So let me pull it up. I have a great stat from Greg in our Slack group. He won season 29, 34, 36, 37. And then
So 4 out of the last 8.
yes.
Right.
So 50%. And
Wow.
I don't even know if he was on every one of those. He probably was, but yeah, so here Greg gave us the oldest winners in challenge history, the top 10. Number 10 was Amber B from last season.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Eric Nice from season 9. Like, that's the only, like, real throwback there. Then you had Jenny West, season 35 with Bananas. Casey was at number 7. And then Johnny, Bananas, season 28. CT, season 29. Then Johnny, Bananas at season 35. And then CT, season 34. CT, season 36. CT, season 37. And so he has 4 of the top 5 oldest wins of all time, and Bananas is the other one because he had the one win in between there.
Having a real renaissance.
It's crazy, man.
Wow.
I mean, so like there's a delay in production right now. Like I don't even think they're filming the next season till like March or something like that. You know, CT's doing that movie. I think as much as like he's just like absolutely dominated. Like, you know, Wes isn't going to be on the next season. Bananas isn't going to be on the next season. And, like, you've got to have, like, some draw from, like, the old school viewers to, like, pull people back in. And, like, even though CT's just been absolutely dominant, like, he's so freaking good at this game. Like,
So
in
good.
every facet.
There's nothing he's not good at.
I mean, no one wants to go against him in eliminations because he's a grizzly bear, basically.
He is physical and mental threat.
Yeah. Puzzles, no one's going to beat him.
No.
In physical stuff, no one's going to beat him. In
His endurance is top-notch.
is insane. Even like, he's in better shape this season than last season.
Yeah.
Even strategy.
Yeah. Like again, like we'll get to like going kind of through the thing, but like when the orange team is like at that square puzzle, he gets there and he's like, I got it,
Boom.
done, and
Yeah.
he's just out of there.
Seconds.
And like it's just like stuff like that. Like, you know, if CT makes it to the final at this stage in his life, like he's
The odds of
probably
him
gonna win.
winning, that's where you put your
Like
money.
memory, like the last part of it was all memory, and like it's just like I genuinely don't politically maybe his weakest part.
But I think he stays out of it intentionally.
Exactly.
Because
But he's not,
and it's worked.
He's
Like,
not behind the scenes like we gotta make big moves. He's just like,
No,
I'm just gonna ride
he's
out.
just hanging
whatever.
out, man.
Let's
And the thing was, like,
ride it out.
we even saw it this season. People are talking about it. People in the house are talking about how CT is just kind of laying low and not getting involved.
And it works.
They're acknowledging what he's doing, and it's still working.
Yeah, like it's unbelievable. Like it really is. Like 3 out of the last 4 seasons, and like this is not the same show that Bananas won all his on.
No.
No, it's not even close.
It's ramped up like physicality in a lot of ways.
It's so much harder now than it was.
I mean, rather than like a handful of things, like let's be honest, like CT's win on Invasions, that final sucked.
Yeah.
But these other finals, they're not easy at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just
I
think he's the best.
If your other competitors in this house going forward for any season he's on, I know like the standard thing to do is you don't want to make any big moves early on in the game, but like why would you not just throw him in every time? If you're these other guys, like, because
I think
you have to write him in as the winner every season.
They're scared to do it because they're like that's the thing is like
They're afraid he's going to win and
it's
come
not-
back after them.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to just beat him in a final. Like he's probably going to beat the majority of these people in eliminations. And so you don't want to risk because in this season, if you throw someone in, they got to pick, from the most part, who they win against.
Yeah.
And it's just like, CT's going to beat 90% of the people in eliminations. Unless it's something weird and, like, fluky and it's a partnered one or something like that. But, like, I mean, if it's just him, and it's, even if it's a partnered final, like we've seen the last 2 seasons, like, the partners don't even have to really do much. It's like, he's like, I got it, let's just go.
Yeah.
And, you know, shout out to Big Brother. They got their 2 first wins. You know that's got to eat Fessy alive.
How about that?
Yeah.
That Amber B and
First,
Casey.
his chosen arch nemesis Amber B wins.
Yeah.
And then the next season, the partner that he had that he threw under the bus and quit.
Who she would not quit, even with
She
a
wouldn't
ruptured
quit
patella tendon.
with a serious, severe injury. Still tried to keep going, and he quit for her to be the next winner.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
What? It's crazy how good he is. Like, even going back to like that weird daily where you're running along the top and collecting those tubes, where he was the only one that did it, and he won it for his whole team.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know. He's unbelievable.
Best of the best. Best there's ever been.
I agree. I think at this point you guys take the numbers out of it and just look at the overall resume.
He's it.
And yeah, just think, man, if he didn't have those like seasons where he got sent home.
Yeah.
When he was like in peak physical condition.
He would have dominated. Man,
I don't know. So let's actually get into going through the part 2 of the finale. So TJ kind of reiterates, you don't want to be last place, the last place cell after today, which we kind of knew that. And then he's just like, all right, good luck, go. And then they just got to start running.
Yeah.
So the checkpoint 4, which was like the first checkpoint of the day, was like a cage that had a safe in it, but it also had ropes and like chains. You had to untangle all that first, get the safe accessible, and then run down to a water. And then there was like a tiered levels of codes under the water, and then you had to memorize what those were, and then come out of the water and then look at a mountain for a key. And like just right away, again, CT, they get to it. He's like, I'll go to the bottom to get the hardest one. And it's like, yeah, he's going to freaking carry everyone on his shoulders. And
I forgot that sometimes snakes can swim.
A lot. I think all snakes can swim.
Like
some do on the top of the water.
That's the thing. Like we've seen around here in our neck of the woods, cottonmouth,
water moccasins. Yeah, same thing.
Water moccasins swim across the top of the water.
Yeah.
But we got some B-roll footage of a snake swimming at the bottom of the water.
Yeah.
And I forgot that was a thing that God said they could do. And I didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, they do swim. Snakes are weird.
They ain't got no arms or legs.
They don't. How do they? And they're quick.
Yeah. Oh, they're mostly docile though. Like they'll try to like warn you to like, hey, get away from me. I don't want to do anything. And then if you get too close to them, that's when they attack.
Why are they so long?
Why are panda bears so fat?
Because they're cute.
Well, some people probably think snakes are cute.
Not
I don't like snakes in the real world. If we're at like a zoo or something, like that's fine. We went to the zoo in Salt Lake City.
We did. It's pretty neat.
That's a really good zoo.
Good zoo.
Yeah. So Nelson doesn't have a life jacket, and he's upset about that, and then has a panic attack, and then halfway through swimming, just turns around and has to have the medical crew come get him.
This was as if you were out there.
No, because if I had swam, if I had swam, halfway there, I would have kept going. I wouldn't have turned around, because then at that point you're swimming the same distance.
Yeah, but it is different, because once he gets to the middle area, then there's still not anything he can stand on. I think that was his reasoning. He's like, I can just get back to where I know I'm safe. Once he gets out there, he's still just like in deeper water. But there was a safety crew there, and they came out. I didn't know if there was going to be penalties for him not,
going all the way back,
getting a code or anything like that. But I don't know.
I didn't even think about that.
It is weird they didn't have any life jackets available.
Yeah, well, I guess because you had to go under the water, and there's no way you could go get that key.
I guess so.
Yeah,
it's just anytime there's water, you always see life jackets.
I think that's more for like distance swimming. But like this was, you had to submerge, and it looked like 10, 12 feet down to that bottom one. And so you couldn't do that fight in a life vest. That would have been a whole nother thing. But yeah, so the purple team get back. They nail the code right away. They open their safe. Orange team right behind them. They get it as well. And that's when you start getting the first, the run to the next checkpoint is where Devin starts like, I got to pace myself because my body might give up on me.
This is where we start to see Devin slowing down the rest of the crew.
Which, I mean, that's what you'd expect. Like, that is for sure Devin's weakness. Yeah. Is endurance, like strength type stuff. But endurance, I'd say more than anything. Because, I mean, he's not small. I think he's like 6 feet tall or, 5'10", something like that. He had people encouraging him. Like, at one point, CT was kind of like, well, you want to hold hands like you're in kindergarten or whatever? But, like, Amy's like, you can do it. It's in your mind. And, again, I get it. Like, the final's long. You don't want to push yourself too hard too fast and then not be able to do. But
also, you don't want to not push yourself enough so that you end up last.
It's a weird balance because you don't know how long you've got to... Like, that. I think CT at one point said, you've got to take it like 10 steps at a time. Like, you got to get these next 10 steps and then these next 10 steps. And that way you have short-term goals that you can keep pushing through. Because if you say, like, oh, I've got 8,000 steps to the next thing, you're going to, like, freak out.
Yeah, when I had to do a lot of running for tennis, I didn't count my steps, but I would, like, pick, like, landmarks or, like, oh, if I can just get to this tree, and then once I got to the tree, I would pick another spot. Like, that's what I was looking for, and it that helped me a lot without gassing out.
I think you probably had a little bit in tennis. You probably don't run like they do in finals.
No, tennis was mostly short distance sprints, but we still
still made landmarks.
No, like we still had to run miles.
Oh, really?
Before practice.
I mean,
to build up our endurance.
Did you have to do that in high school tennis?
No,
because it's not like, you're just, it's a lot of short, quick burst stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My coach just had us do a lot of conditioning before we ever started like actual practice every day.
I mean, I get it, but also that sounds like he's just like, I gotta fill some time. Let's
no,
just have him run.
He took it very seriously. He really wanted us all in great shape.
So we get to checkpoint 5. And it's like a torpedo that's chained up, and you got to figure that out and use the key from the previous thing that was in the safe to open the chain and unravel it and all that stuff, and then carry that to the next place, which is a puzzle. This is a big torpedo. I mean, I don't have a clue how much it weighed, but Orange gets their torpedo first, like unraveled, and they take off and they gain the lead. And I was like, this is going to be their chance. It's like, but they said there's a puzzle at the end. And I was like, that's going to be the equalizer because this team's kind of dumb if you look at them as a whole.
Well, and it bared out, Zach.
Huh?
It bared out.
Yeah. And so they go. That's when Devin starts having to take a break, with the torpedo on his whatever. And the CT shows him putting it on his traps, I guess. And then Tori steps up and she's like, me and Emmy will like split it in the back and Devin can be in the middle. And I mean, we already know Tori's got huge traps.
She does have big traps.
She does have traps.
Yeah, she's not worried about it. And so they get to the orange team gets to the puzzle, and it's one of those where it's like remove 3 torpedoes to make 3 squares. And at first Nelson's like, I got it, let's do it. And then he's like, let's make some triangles. And I was like, well, I think he's just confused at like what he's trying, and then I just lost all his logic on it.
Yeah, and Nani's like, Nelson, that's not going to work. And then finally, at the very end of it, he said, I say let's make a triangle because you never know. It could work.
Yeah, it's like, he was like bewildered when they were like, that doesn't even make sense.
He was so frustrated that they wouldn't listen to him.
I had a problem deciphering the difference between rectangles and squares.
But those are at least like the same number of like walls. Sides.
Right. I don't really have any words for what happened here. But give it up for Nelson for trying, because not much anybody else had any input.
I agree.
Yeah,
No one else
he
really
at
was
least-
stepping
he
up.
At least was trying.
He was at least trying to make an effort, even as flawed as the logic was. And they just struggled. No telling how long they were there. And then Purple Team catches up. And again, we talked about it briefly. It seemed like they were there like 10, 15 seconds. And CT's like, I got it. I know what to do. And then they were out of there. And they destroyed it so fast that the team didn't even get a chance to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle and them like, I didn't even see what they did. So I was like, well, Orange just completely blew the chance that they had.
Absolutely. My question was, have we not seen this puzzle
Yes.
before on the challenge?
Yeah, which I don't remember. Someone brought that up in the Slack group that we've seen this, and I remember seeing it at some point. I don't know where. I don't know if it was in a final, if it was in a daily or whatever. But it goes to show like CT just he's good at everything.
Yeah.
with the challenge.
Well, I just had a note about it. Like, this was either in an elimination or some kind of daily in like seasons past.
Yeah. This has happened before, and so Orange does finally get it, but we didn't really have a sense of like how long, like how far behind they were.
It seemed like it was a long time.
Was this when they start showing the shots of everyone like going up the mountain, or was that earlier?
Not yet. This was where, maybe it was.
I think
don't know.
they'd already done the mountain stuff.
Because they had to get to the bald cage.
Yeah. I think the mountain stuff was after the first underwater thing, and so yeah. Then checkpoint 6 was you had to push like a big like cage like that. I don't even really know what it would be for, but
I thought they were going to have to get into it.
it has. Well, that would be very dangerous. It has all of your like overnight supplies apparently in it, and the teams again 2 completely different mindsets on how to do it. Purple team, let's be slow and controlled. One guy in front, one guy in back, and then a girl on each side to kind of steady it, keep it on the path. And then you have the orange team.
There's a freight train.
Yeah,
Nelson shoved it as hard as he could.
It's like in Rocket League when someone just like takes off a full boost and it's blasted because it's the same logic as a triangle. It's like, well, maybe it might work.
Yeah.
Like, it may land where we want it, and it doesn't. It immediately goes off path, goes down into a tree. They get it out of the tree, and then it goes even further down the path. And then they just have to course correct and push back up. And I was like, Purple Team's got it at this point.
Yeah.
Like, as long as they don't like do anything like devastating, they're fine. And so, Purple Team, they win day 1. It didn't seem to have an effect on like the night, as far as like coming to second place didn't have worse conditions than first place or something.
I thought that's what it was going to be.
Well,
I thought they were going to have like, oh, Purple Diamond Team gets like their full sleeping bags and
We've seen
extra
that
food to
before.
eat,
Yeah.
but then Orange Team, because they were in last place, they get to share like one big blanket and ration their food.
Yeah, I think even last season that happened in like the cave, like, or maybe that was just they had to keep dunking their face in water and whatever. The only thing I can reason is that they know the Orange Team is going to have 2 people going to eliminations, and like having them sleep deprived as well. Like you're basically putting them even more of a handicap going forward, and potentially these people are going to be partners with the people that won the next day. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to have like someone that can barely move weigh someone else down. So that's the only reason I could find from it.
Well, we brought up last week the possibility that this was the outcome of for whichever cell lost.
I swear they previewed that. I don't think I came up with that out of thin air. If I did, then
We
I'm a
talked
genius.
about it last
I know,
week.
but I said I think that was in the thing, and Hannah was like, "No, I think you just think that." If I did, then
I don't remember seeing it, but I know.
but you
I know
didn't watch
we
it.
talked about it.
Yeah, you said you didn't watch the next
Yeah.
time, but we did. So here's the thing: either I'm a genius, or I watched TJ say that in the next on, and that's what happened. But
I don't know which one I want to give you, because I want to say I was right and that you didn't see it, but then I don't want to. I don't want to give you the satisfaction of saying you're a genius.
I am though. Jake, I feel like you would, sympathize with Emmy on this. When she's in the cave, they're kind of talking about things. she's like, if she wins, she's gonna donate money because she says if you receive, you have to give.
It's a fantasy point worthy statement. We're in the season of giving,
Exactly.
Christmas.
and you can't outdo a generous. You can't outgive a generous heart.
There it is.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we are fans and believers in generosity around here.
Yeah.
I love to give. Like, I tell people all the time, I think one of my love languages is giving. Not necessarily like, like one of the languages is like receiving gifts. For me, like,
it also goes the other way too. I think.
For me, I like receiving gifts, but there is just something about giving things to people and like doing things for other people. Like, I love baking and like giving it to our friends who used to be our next door neighbors, and like buying things for other people. Like, it's so fun, and there's such a great feeling to like give things to other people.
Yeah,
It's great. It's great. It's the best feeling in the world.
That's for sure. Like one of the, I think it was Gary Smallwood. Is that who wrote that book? Did I make that name up?
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with
I
Gary.
don't think that's who. I don't know.
The guy who wrote the love
I know.
languages thing.
I'm gonna look it up.
Anyway, we start day 2. Unless you have anything to say about Casey and Nani's. They like at that point, I was like, they're setting this up for.
Yeah, and I don't know. I got some things to say, but we'll get to that.
So the start of day 2.
Gary Chapman.
I said Gary Smallwood. I think that's another famous person, or maybe it's just someone that I know.
Hold on. Gary Smallwood.
That may just be like a friend of my parents or something like that. I don't know.
Gary Smallwood live music.
No, that's not it. So day 2 is checkpoint 7, and we find out Orange has to go into elimination, and it's called Back Me Up. And we've seen this one already, and also, but I think this time it's best 2 out of 3. I don't believe the first time in the pairs it was 2 out of 3. I think it was just whoever won.
I don't remember, Zach.
Because it was like Corey 12 and Michelle from Survivor.
That was the first elimination.
Yeah.
It was Renan. And
Renan and who was it?
I don't know.
Tracy.
No, I think Tracy went the next week.
Oh no, it was the other girl from Big Brother that had the list. Michaela.
Michelle,
because Michelle took out Michaela.
That's right, because they were partnered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Back Me Up, best 2 out of 3. Kyle and Nelson are first, and I was like, man, it's like this is gonna be tough.
Because we talk about it all the time. Nelson's elimination track record is awesome. Kyle's is pretty good too.
But Kyle, like, legitimately, I don't know what it is, but like when it comes to eliminations, like he can go to another level.
He turns into a different person.
So Kyle's elimination record prior to that was 6-6.
So now he's 7-6.
7-6. Nelson is now 9-5-1.
See, he was not like 9-2 at one point.
So
Yeah.
he's had some bad losses.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was like
The
Hall Brawl
last
against Fessy.
last one was Fessy.
Yeah,
And Fessy played dirty.
I mean, like at one point he was like elite, like 3-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of gone down a little bit. But Nelson's not a guy you want to go against elimination, but Kyle's not either, really.
No. See, like I didn't know who to put my money on in this elimination.
I knew Kyle was longer.
I knew Kyle's tall, quite a bit taller than Nelson, so he has the length in his legs. But
You got a lot of muscle in your legs.
I
too.
thought that Nelson outweighed Kyle.
No.
They're similar builds, but Kyle's got.
I'd give Kyle 20 to 25 pounds on Nelson.
That's the thing. I guess because
Nelson's got big arms.
Nelson, I was looking at Nelson's arms, and they are quite a bit larger than Kyle's, and so I was thinking, oh well, maybe he weighs a little bit more, and that's where it evens out.
Kyle's girthier.
Well,
he's just got a lot more girth to him.
After the elimination, after Kyle won, he told Nelson, he's like, it was just that I outweighed you. I just outweighed you. That's all it was.
Yeah, I mean, again, Kyle is longer, so he's got more mass to him, and he's thick. Nelson's very lean, and
he's pretty cut.
Yeah, that's the thing. But he's got huge arms, but like I don't know, Kyle's is just a bigger guy, and I thought it would honestly be closer than it was, but Kyle like pretty handily won both of them.
I think after the first round, Nelson, it's almost like something clicked in him, and he felt like he wasn't going to win.
I mean, he was like defeated after it.
He said he couldn't even hold his head up.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't remember, like, TJ giving a pep talk like that. Like, he was like your dad.
Yeah.
And he was just like, good Lord.
Oh, man. We okay?
It hit me out of nowhere.
Yeah. He basically, like, has to, like, have him, like, you're going to be fine. We'll see you again. You're going to, you're really good at these. And Nelson is. But I don't remember who said it in the Slack group, but they were just like, Nelson's best chance to win was in that final in Invasions. And they was like, I don't think he's ever going to win one. And
That hurts to think about. I want him to win one.
I mean, unless it's like a team one, man, because he has like some severe weaknesses in his overall game.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Swimming.
very, very strong, god awful at dailies. Like, it's unbelievable how
Yeah.
bad he is at dailies. Swimming's not good. His endurance is fine. His strength is fine.
It's puzzles.
His puzzles are bottom tier, and so Nelson goes home, and Casey and Nany are next. And I told Hannah, I was like, Nany should just give up, like, just in the sense of she knows Casey's the best chance to win the money, and so if you try and take Casey out, as much as Nany has given more years to this game or whatever, like, Casey's clearly the better competitor.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even close.
Well, before they started, Nany was already crying in her
They both were.
her confessional.
Yeah.
She said she felt defeated and that Casey had a better chance of winning. But then so that's when Zach and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, she's just going to let Casey win. And then Nany says, well, I'm a fighter. I'm not just going to roll over and let somebody else win. And then we're like, oh, well, maybe she won't just give up.
No, I knew she still was going to give
Then
up.
it cuts to Casey, and then Casey starts crying. And she's like, I know how long Nany has been doing the challenge, and she's never won after all these years. I know how bad she wants this.
And for Casey, like she knows. She's like, oh, I'm going to take away her chance to win.
Yeah.
Like, because it makes more sense because I have the best shot to win the whole thing.
Right. And then before they started, Nany said, she's like, I'm going to give it my all to some extent. In which case I was like, okay, are you going to give it your all or are you not going to give it your all?
She's not. I mean, but
Yeah.
even if she gave it all, it wasn't going to be close.
I hated watching this. It was weird and uncomfortable.
Well, after the first round that Casey won, she turned to Nany and was like trying to like encourage her, like, hey, you can do this. And like Nany just like shut her down and was like, I'm your opponent, Casey.
I know this is the first ever like girlfriend versus girlfriend. Is it the first ever relationship one person sending someone else home that you're in an actual relationship with?
I mean, there's probably been quite a few like flings of
that's the
people
thing.
like hooking up in the house.
I think that their relationship obviously is different than that.
it is.
It's not people in a relationship.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the only thing, because you don't have like guys versus girls in eliminations 1-on-1. Like, I don't think ever, unless I'm misremembering something. So it would have to be like a paired season where it's like a guy and a girl versus a guy and a girl. But even then, like, I couldn't off the top of my head name where someone like legitimately sent. It would be like Brad sending like Tori home,
Or Wes sending Johanna home.
Yeah, but that'd probably be the closest. Would be like that Austin group who had Danny and Melinda and Wes, but I don't know if they ever had to go against each other.
That's what I'm trying to think. Like, was there a season after their first season where they all were on it together and they were all still dating?
Because by the
but
ruins,
not
they
on
were
the
they were done with.
same, not on the same team.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone can probably figure that out.
All right, do you get what I'm saying though? Like, all right, so let's use Wes and Johanna. Like, and we went back and watched one of those seasons where
The ruins.
Wes was, no, it was when it was one of the earlier ones when they were together.
Oh, Fresh Meat.
Like they, I mean, he was obviously kind of a dirtbag a few different times on that season to her, but like, I don't know, man. This whole this whole like Nany and Casey thing has kind of weirded me out all season. It's just, they're.
Do you think that production knew that they were going to be in the final together? They were going to send each other home, and that's why it was just kind of ramped up over the season-long thing. Because we saw like the genesis of their like first date and their relationship progressing, and like I don't feel like you would have focused that much on one relationship if you didn't know it was going to like culminate in this. And I think that's what happened, is they're just looking at it from like a storytelling perspective that like,
oh, we've watched this whole season.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've been talking about it
how
the
great it
whole
would be to run the
season.
final together and all this stuff. And then like one has to send each other home. Like it's a good story overall. I get that it's done by two of the more boring people on this season. Just because, like, even Nany, for the most part, wasn't very exciting this season.
No.
I've seen a lot of people say that. Like, they're normally fans of Nany, and they're like, this season just.
And you
really
know what?
is a turn
That
off.
may be the best for her, like, in her real life, is like she's just like found someone that she can settle down with, and
Hey, more power. I'm not like more
they've
power
got-
to them, man.
they got $400,000 now.
I just like
Yeah.
that their whole dynamic was just, to me, just so over the top. I don't know. It's a weird setting to be so just like touchy-feely, lovey-dovey all the time. And when you got $1 million on the line, and you made the final more about like, we're doing this together, and less about $1 million.
Yeah, I had which I don't even know if I wrote it down. At one point, Nany says, well, by the way, Casey lets her win the second round. Just straight up lets her win it.
And she said she didn't. Nany said she's like, I don't want to say Casey let me
She did.
win.
But then Nany in her confessional said, if I go home now, I've already won.
Oh, that's my next no.
And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
she said that.
Because like I thought it was gonna be one of the things like to me it's not about the money, it's about the experience. I'm like, well, we've always been like, that's a dumb mindset to have. Like,
Yeah.
if
you're
make
there
it this
for the
far,
experience, why are you there? Everybody else is there for the money.
So anyway, she loses. She goes home, and
then Casey and Nany have a goodbye kiss, and then Kyle weirdly laughs and says, haha, I've never seen anyone kiss each other after an elimination, haha.
That
Me
is
and
true.
Nelson were gonna do that.
I think that's definitely a first. But we find out that they then get to pick for pairs, which is going to be the rest of the final. And I was like, oh, it's over. I was like, Casey's going to pick CT.
Yeah.
I was like, it's done at that point. Mm-hmm. And they looked at each other, and like Kyle and her, like, he's like, do you guys want to stay together? And before Kyle could do anything, Casey's like, no.
Casey was already shaking her head.
Yeah, and I guess, I don't know. Tori was a solid pick too, but I think there was definite tears.
Yeah.
It's like, and then Emmy and Devin are, the last. Yeah. But as soon as like CT like winked at her, and I was like, it's done. I was like, they're gonna win this final.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Kyle picks Tori, Casey picks CT, and then Devin and Emmy are partners, and they find out they're paired the rest of the final.
Devin and Emmy are the only pair in this final that have worked together previously.
Yeah, which, I mean, like, to an extent that could help, but, like, at this point, they're just...
Yeah.
They're, like, 10,000 to 1 odds to win anything. Yeah. So, the last leg's just a race. There's a code on top of a mountain that they got to get up to, and he said, in your vault is $1 million black diamond, and I was like, well, that's just bullcrap. Like, it's not $1 million diamond in there. And, so...
You must finish the final. No quitting.
Well, before that, he said the winners get to decide if they keep all the money or if they give any money to second and third place, which I do like that twist.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like it better than steal from your partner.
I don't think it's that. I thought any of these people would have given a portion of their money
to the people that were all in the final. Now,
yes.
Depending on how the final like broke out as far as who made it to the final, I don't think that's the case. But I said whoever wins, Kyle and Devin and CT and them are close enough. Casey and they're Devin and Tori, like CT and Emmy, like they're gonna split money to some degree.
They all have pretty good relationships with each other.
There's
from
not
Casey.
much animosity in this group of the final 6.
Yeah.
And so I was like, they're going to split it no matter what, but you do have to finish to get money, which I do like that.
Yeah.
So they start going, and man, it is a long way to the top of that mountain or whatever. And then they get, typically whenever we have mountainous stuff, there's either a pretty clear path, or if it's like a vertical scaling thing, there's like safety gear involved. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, nah, I figure it out. And I think that's what I think Kyle and Tori kind of get up there first, and then CT's the one that figures out how to scale up to the actual code. And it's a 20-digit code, and I'm not going to lie, I was like, that seems very intimidating to me to have to memorize 20 digits, because if you get it wrong, you're not making that trip again.
That's just it.
Yeah, you're just screwed.
That's kind of why once Devin and Emmy got to it, Devin told Emmy, he was like, take your time memorizing this number.
Which is the right
you
strategy.
You got to get it down to this one track.
And that's what was like just throwing me off, is when Kyle and Tori were up there with Casey and CT, they're all talking and like saying numbers out loud at the same time. And I was like, that's got to be confusing.
Horrible.
And
it's like the was it an elimination with Anissa and Diem versus
I'm already at
rivals because Anissa and Diem were partnered together, and it was the lights, and they were having to memorize the different colored lights in their sequence before running back across the beach.
I genuinely don't remember.
But Diem freaked out on Anissa because Anissa was calling out the lights out loud so that she could remember.
That wasn't an elimination. That was a daily.
Okay. Well, Diem got really mad. She's like, you've got to shut up so that I can learn it. And Anissa was like, she's like, I have to say it out loud so that I get it.
Yeah. And again, it's just 20 is a lot. And so, everyone else kind of splits it 10 apiece, and then Devin and Emmy, she takes 6 and he takes 14, which finds out he does all 20. And
he gave her 6, but not really.
Yeah, that's just kind of like a safeguard. And so they run down and they get to their little podium, and it's got a keypad on it. And I told Hannah, I was like, that keypad's like in like real world sense, like that's not doing anything. That's not connected to that safe at all.
No.
And they start typing in, and then like I believe it was CT's like, you got to say it out loud. And I was like, that's how they're checking if they got the right code or not. That's how the producers, because they can't tell what they're typing in because it doesn't lead to anything. That's a plywood stand with a keypad mounted on it. And so they're like 1, 8, 4, 5, 6. And I told Hannah, I was like, once Kyle and Tori get there and CT and Casey get that first one wrong, I was like, your heart's just got to drop.
Yeah.
Because that they're right there, and they have as good a chance as anybody to get it on the first try. And, they all have to keep saying it out loud, but luckily CT and Casey, like they knock it out. I don't know what was different between the first one and then how many times did they do it?
No clue.
There's a few times.
I don't know what was different. I would have to assume it was something in Casey's side, just because CT is like insane at everything. But they win, and they open their safe, and there's a quote $1 million black diamond in it, and Kyle and Tori are pretty close behind, and then Devin and Emmy are whatever, but Devin shows off and says all the numbers before
the entire time. I mean, Kyle and Tori got their code seemingly seconds after
it seems
CT
quick,
and
but it could have
Casey
been edited that way.
Finished. Yeah. But Tori...
That's the type of stuff I hope the reunion talks about.
Tori immediately starts apologizing to Kyle. She's like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, don't be sorry. You did great.
I mean, yeah, it's not like Tori like held him back or anything. Like they ran into a machine. CT is a machine.
Yeah.
If they were to have been any other guy in that spot, like from this season, like Tori and Kyle probably would have won.
Yes.
And so, Amy goes over to CT and hugs him after they get there, and she's like, "You deserve it all." And
then Tori had to explain.
Well, that's
Emmy.
later. That's later. So Kyle said before that he just in the confessional was like, yeah, I'll be back next season, and I was like, he's not even asking for a callback, he's just telling him he's coming back. And that's when they asked CT and Casey how much money they're gonna, like, if they're gonna keep it all, if they're gonna do anything. And I think the way that they did it was fair.
I actually thought, I was like, they're gonna give each of them $100,000.
I thought they might.
That's what I thought.
I thought they might do 150 for second and 100 for third or something like that, just because second was closer. But I think just to keep it without causing any drama, but also being generous. They kept 800,000, and then everyone else splits 200,000, so each get $50,000, which is then what you were about.
Amy didn't understand how much money they were getting, so Tori had to explain to her, "Hey, we each are getting $50,000," and Amy's like, $50,000.
Well, so JD in our site group brought up that he looked it up, and if you win like Survivor Romania, it's roughly like $56,000. And so,
wow!
So like that is a lot of money, I guess, in Romania.
So that's why she freaked out.
I think Survivor wins like $1 million here, or something like that.
So that's why she freaked out.
Like again, she came in third, and she's like, "Wow!" Like she's just happy to be here. And I think it was a fair way to do it. At first, Hannah was like, they didn't give up very much, and I was like, they gave up 20% of their winnings each. Like they gave up $100,000 each.
But again, like, I love to give. I would have wanted to give each of them $100,000. Then
you're giving away
almost half,
40% of your winnings for like how great you've played this game. And so like that's why I don't have a problem with them giving. I mean, that they didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, I know.
And so everyone there extremely grateful for $50,000.
Yep.
Yeah, Kyle hugged him, and he's like, "I can't believe you did this."
I mean, they all get per diems and whatever, especially Amy, not as much, but all these ones that have done a lot of these seasons, like they're going to be making okay money per week. But I just final thoughts. Like, it is a heck of a comeback season for Casey, just physically, for going out with like a really devastating injury that like surgically repaired, did the entire season in a knee brace, essentially like a compression brace, but still, like, patellar tendons, like when you rupture that in like basketball or football, like you're done for like 6 to 9 months. And like for her to come back and then win, but guess what? She had a great partner this time, not Fessy.
I feel like I was in particular impressed with Kyle.
Kyle had a great season.
I feel so. He's been on. Let's see here. He has been on. This was his 7th season.
Okay,
he's made the final 3 times, but I always feel like he is like there at the end.
Yeah.
So I mean, he made the final. He finished 3rd in
First
Vendettas. Final Reckoning. He went home on episode 11 out of 12.
Was that when Theo beat him? I believe it was.
Because they did that like mini purge, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
again,
by the way, Theo is great at this game too.
Yeah, he wants to come back.
Yeah.
Episode 11 of 12. So I mean, he made it like to the end of the season. War of the Worlds. Episode 12 of 13.
Which hardest final we've had in a long time.
Yeah. War of the Worlds 2. He was out episode 8. So I can't remember how many episodes there were in War of the Worlds 2, but he got 2nd in Total Madness.
I forgot about that.
I didn't realize that.
Double Agents. He went home on episode 17. And of course, so
episode 8's the earliest he's gone home.
Episode 8.
Yeah.
Which there's people who would kill for that. So he basically makes it at minimum
least
half the season. And
I'd say 3. He makes it 3/4.
But just 8's probably about midway on War of the Worlds 2, maybe a little bit over. But I'd say for the most part, he's there either in the final or like an episode or 2 before the final.
Yeah.
Had 17 episodes.
So it was right at the midway point, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle's solid, man.
I agree.
I mean, for a guy who, doesn't get talked up a ton.
Who took him out in War of the Worlds 2? Do you remember?
I can tell you. Sit tight. Yeah. Let me wind this back
Was it
real quick.
Wes?
Y'all just hang on for a
I don't
second.
know. War of the Worlds 2 is weird because it was like a team format, but I don't know. It had a letdown coming off of War of the Worlds 1. I remember that.
Was that the one with Zahida and Zach, or was that one?
That was one.
Okay.
Theo beat him. It was that
So
one.
that was the one I was referencing earlier,
yeah.
where it was like you had to carry the stuff.
The
really-
weights were different,
Yeah.
right? And so you had to figure out, do you want to start with the heavier
Yep.
weights first? And,
And Theo's an Olympian.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
And it wasn't, he didn't get, like, blown out.
no, so you
No.
don't blame him for losing that.
But I think that loss was the one where Kyle said in a confessional something about how he has smoked a lot and he felt like that held him back.
He said that after the first final he was in.
I do remember that,
Yeah.
but I think he referenced it after losing that elimination.
It was either War of the Worlds
Theo.
2 or War of the Worlds 1 where he came home on like you know those like little scooters where you have your knee bent at a 90-degree angle and you
I
have to
remember
rest.
that.
It was War of the Worlds 1 or 2, like he came home like severely injured.
Yeah.
He
And
was like broken.
last season they DQ'd him because he dislocated his finger so bad.
Yep.
And it's like that
Yeah.
he's one of the better players that probably doesn't get recognized.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone's like, oh, he's just stupid and funny, but like he's good.
And you could
I
argue,
know.
if not for the greatest of all time being in this final,
He would have
He'd
won.
I if you team him with Casey, he would have won. And like if CT's not in the final, but I think
Yeah.
CT and Tori still got the advantage there.
He placed third in his first season, and then now he's placed second twice.
And I think the two that he's lost were both to CT, right? Or what was the other final he's in?
what was the other final?
Total Madness as Bananas.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's lost. He's only lost to the two best people of all time.
Yeah.
And so
He's close, man. He's close.
I would rather.
I love Kyle.
I'd rather him get one than Nelson.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would rather him get one than a lot. I genuinely like Kyle. I think he kind of encompasses everything you want out of a modern day challenger.
Goofy.
He's fun to watch. He has drama, but it's not like the Kyle and Polly stuff got old.
Yeah.
With the whole Cara thing, but like that's so far removed that seems like years ago. It was literally a few years ago, but
Great confessionals.
he's great. He's just good at
At Dailies.
He's
good
at
elimination record.
I mean, 7-6, but
but
still.
but that's better than a lot of them.
If people knew they were going up against Kyle, they'd be nervous in elimination.
Yeah.
Again, Fessy dislocated his finger or whatever last season, and so he couldn't go any further.
Fessy.
I think it was Fessy, right?
Yeah. Hall
Yeah.
brawl.
Oh.
Yeah, Fessy had 2 hall brawls in the same season,
That's right.
or maybe 3, even 3. But again, that's a good point. Kyle's just great. I love Kyle. I like that he just invited himself back, regardless. But you know, I think it's a solid season for Tori overall. After having some bad elimination losses
Sounds like Emmy may come back.
I would love for Emmy to come back. I think one of the more refreshing rookies we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
I know people are like, well, Amber B won last season. But Amber B wasn't as fun to watch as Emmy was.
No, she
No.
wasn't. No, she wasn't.
There were a
like-
lot of people that didn't like Amber B.
There's
I
a
like
lot of
Amber
people that
B.
don't like Emmy.
I liked Amber B a lot more this season because I felt like she came in with a presence. Like
But that also cost her.
Yeah.
That's fine. If I'm purely talking about how much I enjoy watching her, I thought she was much more enjoyable this season.
She wasn't as, like, sheltered feeling.
Right.
And but it did she did have kind of an air of I'm better than a lot of these people, and that's like
because I won the
I don't
last
disagree
season.
with her though.
yeah, I mean it's like, hey, yeah, CT is your partner.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't know how this is going to all shake out. I think the only thing I got is that I have a winner. I'm depending on how much a final win counts, I might be able to pass Hannah for second place.
I don't know.
So are we getting right into this?
I mean,
Well, you
we
didn't
did
ask-
just superlatives. Yeah, I was just looking at fantasy. Superlatives. I think we got unanimously give CT smashed
Yeah.
everyone. Like,
That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
and he moved into all-time status.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's officially back-to-back champ.
Yeah. And 3 out of the last 4 is nuts.
4 out of the last 8.
Yeah.
And not even being on all of those 8 seasons either.
No.
Yeah.
And so,
He's on a run. I'd keep going. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm him, wow.
why
Yeah.
not?
Why not keep going?
You have a chance to win at minimum like $400,000 each season, plus your per diem stuff.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, keep doing it, man. Go do it until they won't let you
I
anymore.
mean, you could argue, like, even though he's in his 40s now, he's in his prime.
Well, I think Mark Long after this said, like, I think tweeted to him or commented on something. He's like, "You look in the best overall shape that I've seen in a long time."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mark Long is known for being in crazy shape for how old he is.
Yep.
And again, if you can, but Mark Long was never good like CT was to this degree. He just was massive.
Yeah.
So. CT's unanimous. He gets it from everyone. Who got their head smashed?
Devin by the mountain. He kept having to take breaks.
The Casey Nani thing smashed my head.
I'm gonna give it to I give it to Nelson because TJ had to kind of talk him down afterwards because he just was. It was like if he got like. You know, like Call of Duty stuff when they throw like an EMP, or not EMP, but like a flashbang, and it's just like everything's ringing and you don't know how to move.
Oh, he was
just like, someone rung his bell and he was just sitting there.
What did he say in his confessional? It was like, I don't even know what it takes to be a winner anymore.
He did
and
say
it was
that.
Just like
it was like
God.
His life views had changed.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what life's about anymore. Like,
God bless him.
He had a weird like tone to everything he said this season.
Yes,
it was very forced early on, and then it got really heavy.
And then he like he'd be like in these in these competitive moments, and be like, "Come on, people, we've got this." It's like, who are you talking to?
He's talking to his legs at one point in the bathtub.
Yes, I know. The last episode. Hey, excuse me. Everything was life or death to Nelson this season.
Well, pop culture, whatever.
I've been holding on to this one since episode 1, or since I started doing pop culture people. Blake Lively, because she is the most perfect woman ever.
I disagree with that.
So,
good God.
You sound like you're dying. Oh, no.
I'm choking.
You can give us a warning beforehand instead of just like
exploding. I moved my mic and I'm leaning over the back of my chair.
What if there was like,
I don't think you know what the back of the chair is.
We'll just put pyro behind your chair every time you cough. Doom. Mine. So, seeing this girl currently.
You can't pick her.
No, well.
You could.
That's not pop culture.
She is top notch. But we watched a movie at my place a couple weeks ago. Free Guy.
That's a great movie.
Really fun movie.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
You're not like, wow, that's the best movie I've ever seen, but it's fun.
Hey,
fun
and you know what? Ryan Reynolds, married to Blake Lively, had his babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Like,
solid movie.
It's just kind of like one of those like, oh, this was real fun.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, also very supportive husband of his wife, Blake Lively. Incredible. She's perfect. I love her so much. She is one of my favorite people ever.
Yeah, he's probably milking it on the corner too.
He doesn't have to with her.
What? I'd say out of the two, he's way more successful than her.
Yes.
I know, but she is so wonderful though. Like she uses all of her time to like be a better person and make the world better. She's
I swear.
She's like one of the spokespeople for the Child Rescue Coalition.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't heard about that, they try to bring awareness to child pedophilia and child sex trafficking and
great.
That's not a funny thing, but it's like they bring awareness to pedophilia.
Who's the woman that was you'd see her on all the infomercials for all the kids in like Uganda and stuff and Africa. Late at night, you'd see. They were. I don't remember one.
Sarah McLachlan.
That's it.
Sarah McLachlan does the animal rescue stuff.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah, that's Sarah McLachlan, but that's the animal rescue. There was a bald, like bearded, like white bearded guy that used to do Feed the Children.
Mm-hmm.
That was like late night. Late night TV used to be a wild thing. It's either Feed the Children or Girls Gone Wild. And,
sometimes both.
Or like Slap Chop or whatever.
What's that?
It's the guy that did the Sham Wow as like his second thing.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay.
My mom bought one of those, and then I used it, and I was like, this thing sucks.
I'm gonna give my I don't think I did it already, but I'll give it to Eskimo Callboy.
I think you already used them.
I said I was going to do it, and I didn't. I did something else.
But I think you already used them. You said last week you were going to do them, but you're like, I think I've already used them. And I said, I think you have.
It's fine. Pump it.
Pump it. New single.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Oh, I'm going to, since you get to change mine, then I'm going to tell you Blake Lively is she's gone.
Yeah.
She's not involved in the podcast. So anyone who heard that, you have to disregard it.
Not true.
You can go in and bleep her out.
I can.
Every time she says Blake Lively.
It'd be better to bleep out every time she coughed. But that's way too much work.
All right, y'all. Well, it's time. This is the last fantasy point segment of this season and the year. No, we'll do one more.
Yeah, we'll do another one for All Stars.
This segment, we're grateful to our sponsors for this season. One last time, it is brought to you by You Want to Build Muscle? P3.
P3.
Okay, so we're going to give CT 10 points for the quote, I'm the biggest threat.
True.
Another 10 for being the reigning champ. Nelson needs a life jacket, -10. Like Han, Nelson can't swim, -10.
Hey.
Nelson also said, I can feel me drowning, -10. It's a terrible feeling. Y'all ever felt like you're drowning?
Yes.
Think how terrifying that is.
It's awful.
Let's see. We will give Nelson 5 points for, admitting to the team, I failed y'all.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to own it.
Yeah. Kyle can smell purple, 5 points. Devin's not built for this. The mountain, -10. CT with the line, do you want to hold hands like we're in kindergarten, 5 points, but it was definitely a jab at Devin. -10 to Devin. Let's see. Devin needs a break. -10. Nelson doesn't know the difference between a square and a rectangle. -15.
Well, I think you just said you didn't either.
What?
When we were talking about it, I thought you said you had trouble with that.
No, he had trouble with it.
I thought you
No,
said
I wasn't talking about me.
Younger.
No. Now he's trying to build a triangle. -10.
Yeah.
We did get a learning shape segment with Cassie. I'll give her 10 points. -15 to Nelson because he said, you never know, a triangle may work. It's just bad.
Again, it's the logic. You just blast the ball, maybe it'll land where I need it.
Nelson thinks a rectangle is just a long square. You know what?
It's true.
He's not wrong. 5 points. CT already had it figured out when he got there. 15 points. Let's see. Orange lost their ball. -10 to Orange.
Okay. Everyone?
Yes. And an additional -10 to Nelson because he's the one that screwed it up. Not a good look for Nelson.
No.
In this final. Ibby wants to buy her mom a palace. 10 points.
Don't we all?
I'm also going to give her 15 for the quote, you receive, you have to give.
Yeah.
Amen.
We'll give 10 points to Casey and Nani for their loving. 25 points to the purple cell because they are safe. So CT, Emmy.
Yeah, I got it.
Devin and Tori. Orange team is not safe. -25 to the orange team. I got to tell you, Nelson having a bad run here.
Yeah.
Right.
About to get worse.
It's about to get worse, Zach.
You better hold on to them horses you're milking.
Nani and Casey's response to not being safe was to cuddle. -15.
Oh, my God.
They seemed to sleep just fine that night.
That's a personal choice.
Zach, there are many times I could have been personal about this, and I wasn't. Kyle wins, 75. Nelson loses, -50. I got to tell you, Nelson hurt you here, Zach.
Yeah, but I do have Casey, so let's see.
Let's see. According to Nelson, this is the most hurtful thing he's ever felt, -10. But him and Kyle love each other, 10 points. We're also going to give 15 to Nelson because of TJ's inspirational speech to him. Nelson doesn't know what defines a champion anymore, -5. But he says, one day, I will be a champion in this game. I'll give him 10 points for the... Oh, hold it.
Oh.
We good?
Yeah.
No.
We got sad Nani over here, -5. She feels defeated. -10. She's not just going to give this to Casey. I gave her 15 points.
Well, she lied.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
But -15 to both of them for being weird about this whole thing. Tori could cry too, -5. But yeah, I'll give Nany and Casey 15 points because it's love. And you can't hate on love. Because love casts out all hate.
Okay.
All right.
Is that right?
It's fear.
I was about to say.
Casey knows Nany can win it and win this whole thing. -10.
Yeah, she's dumb then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey wins 75. Nany loses -50. Kisses after the elimination, 5 points to each. And -5 to each of them for both being sad. Okay, just a few more here. We'll give 10 points to Devin and Emmy for being the only pairing that has worked together prior to this. Let's see. 10 points to Emmy for the quote, "Bro, this is sick." 5 points to Emmy for being motivational, because Devin's struggling again, -5. But he is the memory man, 10 points.
Sounds like a Suicide Squad person.
It does.
Okay, so Casey and CT win. That is $750 each.
Wow.
$750 each. Kyle and Tori get second. That is $500 each.
Okay, well, you screwed me on that.
Did I?
Yep.
And Emmy and Devin get third, $250 each. So, another 20 to Devin because he really memorized that whole number. So 1 point for each digit.
1 point for each digit.
Yeah. Back to back for CT. That's 25 points. 5-time champ, 15 points. Tori's sad, -5. This is the biggest moment and feeling in Emmy's life. 10 points. We're going to give 50 points to Casey and CT for being so generous. And 25 to the other four because of what was given to them.
What? Okay. That logic makes no sense.
All right, well, don't give it to them then. Don't give 25 to the other four. Yeah, that's fine.
Their generosity netted them the same amount of points.
Yeah, that's fine. You're right. No, you're right. Another 15 to Casey and CT because TJ is impressed. The generosity moved his heart. 10 points to Casey for the quote, "We all got here together."
Technically, they did.
Another 10 points to CT for saying, "I can't help it. I love it." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your fantasy points for the week. Again, brought to you by You Want to Build Muscle, P3. Let's take a quick break. And we're back. Quick math by Zach there. Again, one last shout out to our sponsor for this season, who we didn't start off with,
no,
but we made a change. You Want to Build Muscle, P3.
I will say, if this is the point system going forward, it may change how we draft. Because to be fair, CT and Casey only got 250 more points for winning than second place, and then third place got 250 as well.
I am open to changing that. Yeah. I would change that right now, Zach.
It's just the winners were so.
I tell you what I'd change, and we can change this right now.
I was wondering if you do 800 for them and then 50,000 for, because that's the money they split.
Oh, I would do 1,000 for CT and Casey and leave 250
and 500.
Is that right?
You did. It
was 250.
You did 750, 500, 250.
I would almost go 1,000.
Yeah.
250, 125.
Okay, I think just the split of the money, that's more what it is.
Yeah.
And with some of these seasons, it's all or nothing.
Do you want to change that? Would that change anything?
It would change. I don't know if it's going to change the outcome, if I'm being honest.
I still win no matter what.
I believe so.
Yes.
And I don't even know if it'll change Hannah and I, but just because she had 3 people, you gave her, and she had more points for the week than you did, and you had a winner, and I had the winner. And just because she had 3 of them.
Well, let's change that then. Let's and not because I agree with you. Because when I was reading out those points, I was like, there probably needs to be some more disparity there.
Yeah, because like it basically just you make the final, you get a lot of points.
At the very least, Casey and CT need to get 1,000.
Okay, so we'll be right back.
And again, we're back. You want to build muscle P3?
Yeah. So just for everyone's clarity, the reason I brought that up is because I was telling them, I don't think it was even on air, if this is the grading or the point system going forward, we're probably going to adjust how we draft because it weighed so heavily. If you get someone in the final, like they just were getting a crap load of points, which I believe they should get points for being in the final, obviously. But it was like Hannah had scored more than anyone for the week, and she didn't even have any one of the winners.
You and I had the winners.
I had both second place and one third place.
Yeah, and Jake had first and third, and I had first, and that was it. But it didn't change the outcome of the season. Like I still was in third, Hannah was in second, Jake was in first. But it was just like for the canon of our fantasy points, we needed to kind of like set that standard just so if you're playing along, we don't know what your scores are at this point, but also like the winner should have significantly more. I believe.
I agree.
Yeah.
You were right. You were right about that.
And so, otherwise, you just like draft people who get to the finals and lose. Draft Kyle all day long.
Yeah.
So, for the week, huge numbers. CT ended up with 1,180 points.
Wow.
Well, he got 1,000 just for basically winning now. And Emmy is at 210. Previously, it was 930 and 335, but we switched it. So, 1,180 for CT, 210 for Emmy. Jake got 1,390 for the week.
Hey.
Nelson got a negative 135.
Wow.
Nani got negative 90.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Casey got 860 because she had negative things going for that can't be right, can it? I feel like I may need to do her math again as a whole.
But either way, you're last place.
I'm in last place, but just for sake of clarity, I'm going to have to do hers again. All right, yeah, I figured it out.
Rough go over for you,
Well,
Zach.
it was just because we're having to change numbers back and forth after it already had the totals.
Much like one of your draft picks, Nelson, rough night.
Not even close. Again, Casey ends up with 1110 for the week. But with my negative scoring with Nelson and Nani, I only ended up with 885 for the week. Kyle gets 300, Devin gets 155, and Tori gets 265. So Hannah ends up with 720 for the week. So I only gained like 100 and something points, and she was way ahead of me on that. So for the season, I got third with 2,660.
I hit that in week 16, Zach.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the right math?
Yes. Hannah got second with 3,055, and Jake got first with 4,415.
Far and away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picked a good team, y'all. I'd like to specifically shout out
CT.
CT.
Yeah.
Go down to my team. Let me give a speech real quick. I want to give a shout out to Emmy for.
You picked Amanda second.
I did pick Amanda. I mean, she made it.
You wanted to snatch her up.
Yeah. A special shout out to Emmy. Made the final, finished the final. I had a heck of a year.
Agreed.
Gave as many fantasy points as anyone, I'd imagine.
Probably pretty close.
Honorable mentions to Huey, who had some runs in there. He did.
He had fun. Like, he wasn't a great competitor, but he had that big elimination win you wouldn't expect.
Josh had his moments.
Yeah.
Esther was solid for when she was there. And Emmanuel. Emmanuel had a solid season.
Yeah, Emmanuel had a pretty good season.
So I'm proud of my team, man.
Yeah, your big like flops were Jeremiah, Berna didn't middle of the road.
Middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean for
Ed, as enjoyable as he was kind of middle of the road.
But Ed was a replacement.
Ed was a replacement
for who?
Somebody.
Who did you replace?
Nom.
It was Nom. That's who it was.
Nom?
Because I was upset that Jake took Nom before I could.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Interesting with Nom if we ever see him again. I mean, my team just like Fessy DQ'd Nelson.
You're like the Titans this season,
Huh?
right? A lot of you had like most or all the medical DQs.
I had the most DQs.
The reference
by far.
there is the Titans.
Yeah.
There's a we've set history. We made history.
Oh,
how
did
many
we?
active players we've
I didn't
played
realize
this season.
that.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies did that about 5-6 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Something in the water in Tennessee.
Fessy DQ'd, Ashley DQ'd. That's 2 of my top 3. Nelson was my second pick, and he made the final, but he kind of crapped the bed in it. And then Kels was the guy. That was a high upside pick, but I mean, they just targeted him right away because they're like, we gotta get him out of here. And then Tommy DQ'd, and then
Your Survivor people just fell apart.
Survivor was awful. Like all 3, I went heavy on Survivor because I was like, oh, strategy. They're very strategic. All fell apart right away. Tommy obviously DQ'd, but Casey, my third from the last pick was the best pick of the whole thing. And then Bettina and Amber B. Amber B was a replacement for somebody, but
I think my number 1 overall draft pick
Kyle,
was a good pick. Kyle's the one to pick.
He did better than Fessy because Fessy got sent home.
Yeah, and I mean he placed second in the final.
Yeah.
I'm pleased. I love Kyle.
Yeah, I mean Devin making the final. That's a big upswing for him. Not a great season for Corey.
No,
if I'm being honest,
he missed his kids too much.
Anissa as your
Forget
fourth.
Anissa was ever on this season.
Yeah,
Anissa
I
as
did
your
too.
fourth pick was a little suspect.
Logan
but
had a solid
Logan had a
season.
pretty good season.
Logan was not bad. Tori solid. The Ren and Tatcha. Well, Tatcha was fine, but
Ren and Tracy Priscilla.
Ren and
bad
Tracy Priscilla.
run.
Corey 12 though surprised us.
But he still went home
Pretty early.
But he had that like good upswing at the beginning of the season, and then after that he kind of fell apart, and then him and Huey got into it in that elimination.
Yeah, that was weird.
So I think overall it was a good season. Why are you raising your hand?
While you were doing your math the first time, I got on Facebook and sponsored article for me on my feed from the Challenge Facebook and MTV.com. So I clicked on it because it talked about the final. Kyle and Tori lost the 20-digit code by 10 seconds.
Oh, so that was almost real time.
So
what
that's
we saw.
that's why Tori was apologizing so profusely because they were 10.
Oh, was it her fault?
They were 10 seconds away.
Yeah, I mean, so that's good to know, like that they were that close because it seemed close.
It seemed close,
in the edit we saw. But yeah, I think overall good season. I think better than Double Agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think probably better than Total Madness. And then after that, they kind of all start running together.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, but I think it's a solid season. It didn't like. There wasn't a big lull in the middle where I was like, oh, I gotta watch, because that happened a few times recently. But I think it's good. It's a good final. It wasn't the best final, but it also wasn't a bad one.
No, it was fine.
Yeah. So you know what? It's the middle of COVID, guys. They did good. They did a good job. And even though it has its flaws, which we've talked about, you don't have to have everything explode, and everything doesn't have to be on fire.
We didn't have any explosions in the final.
Yes, we did.
Did we?
We did.
The eliminations, yeah.
Oh, there were pyro stuff in the
Oh,
background.
dadgummit.
Which didn't fit the mood
Dadgummit.
at all. because
Dadgummit.
Everyone watching was 3 feet from the little plexiglass and stair thing, and literally no one was hyped or cheering.
Yeah.
And
MTV, why are you doing this?
That's actually
Make it stop.
That's the perfect example of like know like your mood, like your audience. Like you don't have to have fire for everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think overall, and from what I've seen with our patrons and stuff discussing it, it's kind of split. Some people are like, oh, the final kind of let me down. Other ones like, I think it was solid. It's good to go. So you're not going to please everyone, but I think all of us enjoyed this season.
Good season.
It's a
Solid
good
rookie
season.
season.
Great rookie season. I was
And-
really pleased.
There's definitely people who I think, Emmy, Emmanuel, Logan. Like I think they all deserved like callbacks. I would like to see people like Kels back.
Corey 12.
Yes.
Corey 12, I think, did enough
Huey?
to get a call. Huey, I mean, granted, he's not going to do a lot in the game, but he sure gave us a
Ed?
wild ride while we were here. Ed, yeah.
I would love to see Ed back.
Yeah. So I think there's some solid people you can call back. And apparently for season 38, literally everyone you've ever thought of is getting a call for availability, and then they're going to decide on a theme later. So I just hope it's not a season with like 40 people. Yeah. Maybe they'll do that for season 40. It'll just be 40 competitors.
Yeah.
But we'll be back with you for All-Stars 2, and then at some point reunions for Spies, Lies, and Allies, but definitely not if it's part 1. We'll come back after part 2. But I'm just pointing at you.
Yeah. Have a good night, everyone.